Hi Sagittarius, welcome. So Sagittarius, this is going to be your reading. My readings are timeless, so I just trust that whenever you find this, that's when it's for you, and let's get into it. So Sagittarius, I was getting the song Insensitive when I was preparing for your reading. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that song. It's like an older, I don't know if it's from the 80s or 90s, but the word insensitive. So I don't know if you feel like somebody's being insensitive, or maybe you are, or if that song resonates with you at all. I'm sure I'll get some more lyrics as we go further into the reading. But I was also getting a message about reflecting on your feelings, communicating your feelings, some of you venting or being vulnerable or just opening up in a way, if you will. So here we have the Emperor and the Fool. Let's see what other cards we get out for my Saggies. And all of a sudden, I'm sweating. Like, am I having a heat flash? Is it a heat flash? No. Hot flash? I don't think I'm to that age just yet, but that's what it feels like. I felt like all of a sudden my body feels so hot. And now I'm a little sweaty. Goodness. Okay. Well, are you having hot flashes, Sagittarius? That could actually be a thing for you. And also, I'm getting something about a gland, a pineal gland, renal gland, like a glandular thing. What is happening? Look at my face. Whew. Hope I'm not having a reaction to something. Okay, anyways, the Emperor, the Fool, the Nine of Pentacles here. Okay, so this is Aries energy. You could have that in your chart, or just simply the vibe. This is all about like confidence, being in control, calling the shots. When it comes to the Fool, this is about new beginnings, not being afraid to try something new. But also there's a caution that comes with the Fool, because sometimes it is naivety. Sometimes it is, jumping into something before you're actually ready. So be careful with that energy, Sagittarius. And then you have the Nine of Pentacles, which is all about comfort, independence, both on a financial level, but like with who you are and where you're at in your life. And then the King of Pentacles here is the last card, which is staying grounded, generosity, also highlighting the home. And again, like organization, your daily habits, things of that nature. So lots going on here, Sagittarius, as I'm also having what appears to be some sort of hot flash. So let's get into it and see. And there's that song again. She says, by the time you took me home, teach me how to be insensitive. Casual goodbyes. Look up that song. Is it Jane Arden? That's the name that wants to come forward, but I'm not sure if that's the artist name. Anyways, all right, so let's get into it. You have the card of Suppression here. It's under the Emperor. So I feel like Sagittarius, what you may be trying to control is actually maybe suppression, right? Like, it's one thing to feel like, all right, I'm in control of a situation and I control how I feel. That's one thing, but it's a whole different thing when you're actually like suppressing, like you're feeling all of the feelings, you're just not letting yourself express them. That's suppression. Okay, so that's actually a lack of control. So be careful about that, Sagittarius, because I felt at the beginning of the reading like this urge or this message here to be vulnerable or express yourself, or, express your feelings. Okay, so be careful we're not suppressing things that maybe need to be said or need to be felt. Sometimes we suppress our emotions because we don't want to feel hurt, or we don't want to feel a certain way, even though we do. right? So we may try to numb it or excuse it or, like sweep it under the rug only for it to resurface later. So be careful with that. With the Fool here, there's also the Thunderbolt. So this is a Tower moment. This is, be careful about like making any sort of foolish decisions or jumping into something that's not already on solid ground. Sometimes the Tower can be like unexpected changes. Okay. We're definitely going to dive deep into that one. And I also feel like, when it comes to your comfort, right? Or the home environment where you feel maybe the most safe and secure, there's also at the same time a sense of feeling, I don't know if it's trapped or like if you're maybe feel like some of your own habits have you in a continuous loop or something. That the card of conditioning is here. So there may be something that you've been conditioned to believe about self or about life or about finances that isn't really serving you right now. So needing to take a closer look at that, okay? So let's go deeper. Gosh, why am I sweating so much? I suppose I could stop the reading, but like, oh well. I mean, this is real life, okay? So I was like, I feel like the temperature just got cranked up in here. Heck. All right, King of Cups, the Eight of Swords, ooh, the Two of Cups. So somebody is definitely either holding in their emotions or feeling a sense of restriction around emotional expression. And then there's like this energy of taking your time. So with the Two of Cups and the King of Cups here, I feel like this is somebody you're dealing with. I don't actually feel this is your energy, but because it's a general, take it as it resonates. It's just a sense of like feeling emotional turmoil, okay? This could be a soulmate that you're connecting to or just a life partner, a friend, you name it. But there is a lot of suppression going on in the emotional sector and like this desire to control like, how you feel or how another person feels, or maybe they're doing that to you. And yet there's all like this restrictive energy around this, and it's creating a lot of instability underneath the surface here. For this person, I feel, but it could also be doing that for you, Sagittarius. And yet the Seven of Pentacles is like being patient and waiting and observing and like watching, what somebody's going to do, what somebody's going to say. Some of you are trying to control like your emotions or, what you've got going on, because you want to see or observe like what somebody else is going to say, what somebody else is going to do first, which is very interesting. And I'm going to be honest with you, on Sagittarius, like most of you are pretty, action oriented and blunt. But of course, this could be what somebody else is doing to you. Somebody could be, holding in their emotions, restricting themselves, and yet patiently waiting to see like what you're going to do. So I could see that either way. But let's go deeper and see. The Fool is here again. Where's that song again? Time took me home. Teach me how to be insensitive. So there's that feeling of like insensitivity or shutting down one's emotions, okay? You could be being accused of being insensitive, or you could feel that way about another person. And yet there's a whole lot of sensitivity here. So that doesn't even make sense, but maybe you're not showing that, that something is bothering you or that you do feel sensitive about a certain topic, or maybe this person isn't outwardly showing that, but I feel a whole lot of sensitivity here. So what's very interesting about duality and law of attraction is that a lot of times when people are being insensitive, it's because they are feeling sensitive. You know what I mean? Like when somebody discards your emotions, they may be like themselves actually a hyper emotional person, but maybe they're insecure about that. You know, and when you feel like somebody's being very insensitive to you, you may feel that way because you're being very sensitive. Like, isn't that funny? You know, how the universe is always projecting back to us, like, what we've got going on. So just be careful around that. The Fool is under the Two of Cups, which is under the Tower. The card of Suppression. So some of you, there's a new beginning here wanting to come through. I feel this is within partnership or connections. And yet there's suppression around this. Yet there is this like 10 of Wands, like feeling burdened by this as opposed to like, you know, being excited. I feel like whoever you're connecting with, they're actually hoping for a positive outcome. I feel like for this person, even though they may not be the most consistent or stable emotionally at the moment, I think what they're looking to gain here is to be happy, for happiness, for a positive outcome, a new beginning here with the Page of Wands. But the Page of Wands is, well, what, like 1, 2, 3 times basically, which is to say like there could be a lot of impulsive behaviors here as well, or reactionary type of energy, especially with the Tower. And there's that Queen of Swords. Okay. I just felt like the Queen of Hearts, like, off with your head. I think this is your energy here, Sagittarius, particularly if you're a feminine Sag. So for you, it's like, I don't know, there's something about this that's kind of like pushing you out of your comfort zone, that's feeling uncomfortable to you. You know, there's like this strong desire to be heard and be independent and, you know, to be taken seriously and not to be taken for granted or not to be taken as naive. Like you're showing up as like, you know, serious, like wanting to be taken seriously, or you're serious, right? Especially when it comes to how you feel. But it's also about like, what are you allowing, Sagittarius, at the same time? Like, what are you allowing yourself to be comfortable with when it comes to relationships? And does that really serve you? Or is that something you've been conditioned, you know, to put up with through past experience or through what you grew up with? Or, you know what I mean? Like, ask yourself also when it comes to connections, relationships, even friendships, like, what are you tolerating? Okay, because there is something here that is an old pattern, and it has to deal with something you've been conditioned to believe about relationships, and it's somewhat restricting you, okay, in the now, because it hasn't been fully resolved or dealt with. And then there's like this energy, right, of like patiently waiting for the tides to turn, for something to shift, for things to change. Some of you are patiently waiting on some sort of news or information, by the way, and I do see that coming through, particularly if this is about home, real estate, money, finances, the job, travel, things of that nature. So if you've been waiting on anything pertaining to that, I do feel like you're receiving news here, and I feel it is good news, okay? Or the information that you need to help you like move forward with something. So that's just a side note. But for others, for all of you, there's definitely something going on here in the emotional sector, and it has to deal with like saying how you truly feel, allowing yourself to be sensitive. You know, some of you are like suppressing your emotions or attempting to detach, okay, altogether. And yet I feel like, although that is possible, I feel like that may be very hard to do during this time frame. just simply because of the way that how heavy the energy feels around this. And if you've been suppressing something for a long period of time, it's bound to, you know, rise to the surface here. And especially if you're dealing with somebody who's also like emotionally reactive or inconsistent, you know, like I feel like this person so badly wants either wants to do the right thing or wants the right things, or like, you know, wants to have this new beginning, but at the same time, they're very sensitive, okay? Which can make them also very reactive. So it gives a little bit of like walking on eggshells type of vibe, Sagittarius. But take it as it resonates. And then I feel like there's something you're not seeing here, and it has to deal with patterning in relationships, okay? But I feel strongly that like through this experience, okay, through this journey that you're going on, this emotional journey that you're going on, you're starting to figure it out. Like you're starting to uncover some things that you have yet to heal about yourself, or, you know, things within you that, you know, holds you back or restricts you, or maybe has you being comfortable with shit you shouldn't be comfortable with. You know what I mean? Like everybody's comfort zone is slightly different based on what they tolerate. And not saying one is more right than the other, but how do you know if your comfort zone is working for you? You feel comfortable, but if you're accepting less, you will actually feel discomfort in the comfort zone. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, like that is your emotional sign that there's something going on here that you really shouldn't be comfortable with, right? With justice here, I feel like also there's balance coming to either real estate, home, or the finances, by the way. I felt that earlier, and I see that here again. There is also like kind of this lackluster energy showing up. But there's also like reliability on the table here and destined timing. For those of you who are connecting with two different people, let me get to that group. Some of you are dealing with like old reliable over here, like somebody who's very reliable, dependable, you know, and you may rely on this person or go to this person for advice or to vent or to talk. And then there's another person here, and this may be the person you're talking about, that is kind of the opposite of that and is very difficult for you to rely on. Okay, so that's for those of you who are dealing with two different people here. And you've turned your back on the one that is unreliable, and yet this person is still like somewhat waiting, or, you know, wanting good news, or like trying to get a positive outcome. And that may or may not happen because I feel you have emotionally detached from the situation, but time will tell. But not all of you are dealing with two different situations, two different people. So take that part only if it resonates. So yeah, there's just a lot going on. And the encouragement is to be vulnerable, but not overly sensitive, which is tricky because a sense of vulnerability is coming from a place of confidence, but a sense of insensitivity is coming from a place of insecurity. Or hypersensitivity as well could also be coming from a place of insecurity. So just something to look at, something to be aware of. Let's see what the guidance is for Sagittarius. It says, take a moment, stop. Now is not the time to rush into the decision you're about to make. Before this important decision is made, take a moment to pause and quiet your mind so you can ask your soul for guidance before you act or move forward. So yeah, stop, think, breathe before making any decisions during this time frame, Sagittarius, because remember, there's like this reactive energy here going on as well, whether that's coming from you or another person. But yes, so interesting reading. I'm going to leave that one there for now. Zodiac signs that you may be connecting with or have in your own chart. I've got Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, Libra, Aquarius, Aries, Leo, Scorpio, Aries again. Aries, Virgo, Pisces. Those are the primary signs that I'm seeing, but keep in mind it is a general reading. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If it did resonate, let me know in the comments down below. Comment. That's what helps keep my page going. That's what helps keep traffic on my channel. You know, give me a like, give me a share, subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of my live events. I also have a Facebook. I go live there. I'm doing a book club over there about how to cope with change. But I also do daily readings over there, and some other fun stuff. So Tarot Time with Dana is the name of that page. I'm on Instagram for funsies, and I'm on TikTok just for fun as well, TTWD24. But either way, wishing you the very best. And until next time, my friends, namaste.